U.S. behalf and implement U.S. policies in Laos and Southeast Asia due to the neutrality that was declared by foreign powers on Laos, that no foreign troops or boots would be permitted in Laos. But because of the Chinese and the Soviet and the North Vietnamese violation of that neutrality, they were sending in supplies and boots on the ground, and so the U.S. saw that they were not going to risk a greater conflict of what was already going on in South Vietnam, but they had to do something to stop the aggression of communism in Southeast Asia. And with the belief and theory of the domino effect, which some deny that is not true, but it is partially true, because after the fall of South Vietnam and Laos, we saw Cambodia go as well. So in theory, that belief was true. But going back, the Hmong were recruited with some of the three main objectives. There were many objectives, but the three main objectives, the deal that was struck, that the Hmong would rise and stand and fight against communist aggression and the spread of communists in Southeast Asia. One was to disrupt or destroy communist supply lines that ran through Laos, primarily along the infamous Ho Chi Minh Trail. Secondly, was to protect and defend strategic U.S. military installations like the strategic U.S. military Air Force radar satellite at Phu Thi, which was an advanced radar very close to the North Vietnamese border that helped guide U.S. bombers over the skies of North Vietnam. And third was to help rescue down U.S. pilots who were shot over the skies of North Vietnam, and those who were fortunate enough to parachute over Laos and into the jungles. The Hmong would trek through dangerous, scenarios, a dangerous environment to reach those U.S. pilots who were their brothers and comrades at arms. And many Hmong, and this is documented and recorded by the U.S. government, many U.S. pilots, by the dozens, were rescued. But countless Hmong SGU veterans who are not here today made the ultimate sacrifice in rescuing their brethren. This lasted for 15 years, something that wowed and went above expectations of U.S. Expectations for the Hmong. But nonetheless, the Hmong fought bravely, they fought admirably, and they fought with dignity and honor. And for those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, their death did not go in vain. Their death did not go unforgotten. And just like their brothers at arms in South Vietnam and other theaters of the Vietnam conflict, we all fought for one thing, which was freedom. The Hmong have always been a peaceful and freedom-loving people. And as I had the chance to meet many members of Congress, old and new, I like to joke with them that the Hmong became American citizens before they even knew America. Because back in 1961, way before the fall of Laos and South Vietnam, it was that one day in January where an agreement was struck that the Hmong would rise, not as just Hmong, but as Americans to fight on freedom's behalf. They answered the call. Just like every other veteran, they served with honor, they served with valor, but nonetheless, service to this country. And because of that, the Hmong are here today. We are here as Americans. America is our home. The United States of America will continue to be our home. And as my father, when he still had the chance to be among with all of us, he would always lecture in his speeches wherever he went to people of all different walks of life that we must cherish our freedom, We must cherish our liberty. We must cherish and value our democracy, for it did not come free. And we should not take our freedom in vain. We should remember that freedom comes with the cost of so many wars and conflicts, of so many men and women who served this country, who served the free world to keep us free. And as we are here today as citizens of this great nation, for us to continue to make our contributions, to continue to do our duties and responsibility to make this country even better. And so that is where I leave off with all of you today, that we are here as one family. We are here as brothers and sisters, as neighbors of good communities across our great nation. And it is also fitting that next week is Veterans Day, which we will pay honor and respect to all of our veterans, past and present, and our current men and women who serve in active duty, who many young Hmong men and women serve in the United States Armed Military today, along with their brothers and sisters, in harm's way, who continue to defend and protect our freedom and our democracy. So as we pay tribute, and we pay our honors and respect to each and every single veteran here today, and over the course of the next couple days and weeks, we are very fortunate to be here. Through our faiths and our beliefs, our principles and our values that have guided us throughout our history, we must always be reminded of the privilege of the freedoms that we have. We must honor and respect that, to the young and old, that this is our history, and we will respect our history, and we will continue to do our job as one people, as one nation. So in closing, I thank you all very much. May God bless all of our veterans. May God bless all of our active members, men and women who served in our armed forces today. God bless each and every single one of you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
All the way. The United States of America, since its founding, has been embroiled in war throughout our history, ensuring democracy and freedom for other countries. America has always had allies by our side, taking the war to the enemy to end injustices. One group of allies seldom mentioned in history of the Vietnam War was the Hmong soldiers of Laos and the role they played in saving American lives. As previously, I served in the Central Highlands of South Vietnam in 1967-68 at Dak To, Tui Wa. I can honestly say that about 99% of the combat forces fighting in Vietnam had never heard of the Hmong soldiers of Laos and what they did until years after the war. North Vietnam, in order to supply their troops in South Vietnam and avoid airstrikes, violated the neutrality of Laos and established what became known as the Ho Chi Minh Trail. This network of trails allowed the North Vietnamese Army to move vast quantities of troops and materials to the south. The United States, needing a way to halt the continuous supplies of materials moving south, enlisted the help of the Hmong people. The CIA and the Special Forces, Green Beret operatives, began training the Hmong army to fight for the United States against the communists from the north. General Vang Pao was chosen to lead the Hmong army and did so to the end of the war. The Hmong army was equipped and trained by the United States, but in secret, and we promised to take care of them if they fought for our side against the communists. The record shows that they fought courageously and valiantly. in every encounter with the enemy, and often at great loss of life and sacrifice. Many times the Hmong would go on missions to rescue a downed American pilot and lose dozens of their men or wounded in action during the rescue. And they did this time and time again. At one time, the Americans were flying 300 bombing sorties a day. You know, many pilots owe their safe return home to the bravery of the Hmong fighter. Many American soldiers and Marines in South Vietnam can be thankful for the Hmong soldiers preventing many North Vietnamese divisions from reaching the South. There are horrific stories of the brutalities of combat the Hmong soldiers endured while helping the Americans. Every Hmong family was touched by the war, losing many family members. They risked all they had to help America. They would risk and lose more at the end of the war. After the fall of Saigon, we pulled out of Southeast Asia and left the Hmong to continue the fight without air support. When we left, the Hmong had to fight both the Laotian government and the North Vietnamese communists. They could not fight tanks and heavy artillery and aircraft with rifles. A great many Hmong were slaughtered in their own villages. Many more were killed at airfields waiting for evacuation aircraft that never came. If you were able to fight every foot across Laos and cross the Mekong River to refugee camps in Thailand, there they were once again mistreated by the UN and the Thai officials. There were 3 million pre-war Hmong living in Laos, and it's reported 200,000 made it out safely. You standing or sitting out there today are the survivors who came here to start a new life without war. For today, Hmong Americans, yours is a legacy of courage and valor, and I hope it will inspire you to stand for the highest of human values and bring further honor to your people and your ancestors. This memorial being dedicated in your honor today should bring great pride to you, satisfaction. Thank you.